All right. Good morning, YouTube. I have no idea what this video is going to be about. I guess it's just an update video. It's Sunday morning, about 8 a.m. I'm just having my first cup of coffee. Speaking of which, where the heck did I put it? I need to find it. My brain is craving it. So I just woke up. I can tell I need a haircut today. I can tell when these start flying away and make me look like a little baby bird. Anyway, it's Sunday morning. Just giving you a quick update here from All Mine Ranch. I've got a lot of projects going on. It's just a normal 2-day weekend. I spent all day yesterday, Saturday, inside my main house, painting copper green on my lumber that's going to be used in solar racks numbers 2 and 3. I have 12 panels that I'm using right now, solar panels to power the tiny house, and that's working out pretty well, but they're just laying on the dirt. You've probably seen photographs of that, laying up against a berm, and I want to get them in a rack. I'm going to have shortly, maybe by end of today if we're lucky, 3 racks that each hold 3 panels, and that of course leaves me 3 short, or 1 rack short. But I think I'm going to take the remaining 3 panels and just lean them against 1 rack each. So I'll have basically a cluster of 4, 3 clusters of 4, and see how that goes. Wind will be an issue. I've got to figure out how to anchor these racks to the ground. So far for the last couple months, just having these solar panels leaning up against a berm has been fine. We've gotten 20-25 mile an hour winds. But if we get a real storm, like a microburst or any kind of real monsoon storm, which shouldn't happen really until this coming spring or even summer, which is still, 5 months away. So I've got some time to figure out my anchoring system. My point is, I spent all day yesterday putting copper green, which is an anti-termite, anti-pest. Oh, the bird gangs are coming into my feeders. Maybe I can get some B-roll of that. But I put copper green, which is an anti-termite treatment you put on lumber. And my idea there was to buy a gallon of that and do that manually to save money, because pressure-treated lumber right now in my area here in southeast Arizona, for some reason, is about double the price of regular lumber. Not quite double, but it's up there. And I don't know, I guess I'm cheap or I'm frugal. I'm trying to stretch my dollars. Every dollar counts. I just did a video on that, by the way. The importance of being prepared, resilient, self-sufficient, self-reliant, all of that. And one of the ways in which everyone, I think, should be more self-reliant is financially, which means living according to a monthly spending plan and knowing where every dollar is going to go in advance to make sure you're slotting money into the right things that are going to give you maximum benefit. So if you haven't seen that video, go check it out. I just posted it. It's on, the self-reliance mindset. Well, it's a long one, 50 minutes, but I think everyone should watch it. Probably the most important video I've ever done. Anyway, I was trying to save $1, but it turns out I spent literally all day yesterday painting copper green on 30-something boards, which probably not the highest and best use of my time, which is another concept I talked about in there. So for the next projects, I've got to rethink should I just go ahead and plunk down the money and buy the pressure treated, or should I buy copper green and do it myself? Honestly, I really don't know. But racks 2 and 3, the base of them will be green, which will look odd, but it should work. And that's my project for today. I'm going to go out into the main house. I'm going to take you guys with me. I'm going to start assembling the solar racks. That's probably as far as I'll get today, because the step after that is to disassemble them, bring them outside, and actually reassemble them on the land. I'm using bigger bolts this time. I bought some big, I forget the brand name of them, but some big bolts, lag screws, or replacement substitutes for lag screws that should hold a little bit better than deck screws. They're expensive though. They're like 50 cents a screw, so I've got to use them somewhat judiciously in some key points. Deck screws will go in everywhere else. So that's a good project for today, but I think before I start that, I'm going to take you outside and I'm actually going to paint some black plastic piping that is draining gray water here on the property, because looking at the black pipe is just bugging me. And it's only a 20-30 minute task. I just have to disassemble 3 sections of pipe, which are only, pressure fitted, and then just slap some tan paint on them so it blends in with the desert a little bit. And it's nice out. The wind is low. It's a little cool. It's probably 50 degrees, but the rest of the country is under a blizzard right now, so I shouldn't complain about that. I'm going to take you outside and enjoy the weather. The birds are out there hopping around, doing their thing, eating their seed, and enjoying the bird bath. And paint that pipe. Then we go in the main house, do the work on the solar racks, and that's about it. I hope you're doing good. Let's see how this goes. Hey guys. Well, I'm gonna paint my pipes. It's not the place I wanted to do it, but in the shade where I wanted to do it. It's so hard to get a shot for you guys here on YouTube that is not extreme bright and extreme dark. Like, unless you're willing to work in the extreme sun, you're always trying to go in the shade, but then the camera does not work where you've got brightness in the background and darkness in the foreground, and it's driving me to ape shit, let's put it that way. So I'm not gonna fight it. I'm just gonna work in the damn sun, put on my sun hat here. But I'm just gonna paint these pipes. But I gotta clean these pipes because they're covered in dust and the paint won't stick to the dust. So let's start with that. Use the non-cutting edge and see if we can't pry it up. There we go. It's a little cold out here. It's only about 50, but I've shaken this pretty good. You see there's a color, obviously tan. Oh, desert tan, like a desert sand color. And I've got a used brush that's kind of chunky. The little the hairs on it don't separate very well. They're in clumps because I used this to stain something or paint something in the past. But considering the task at hand is just to paint some damn drain pipes tan, no sense wasting a brand new brush, right? Being frugal here. Should work. All right, let's paint something. And this is eventually going to be tan too, so I don't really care if I get a little paint on it. All right, there's one coat. It's already starting to dry. I think I only have to wait about 15 minutes before I can slap another coat on there and call it done. Try to get some powdery dirt on my hands to soak up the paint residue so I don't touch the frickin' camera and get paint on my camera. As I say, cut! All right, well, I was just outside painting the pipe, and I was kind of complaining about how it's so difficult to get a shot on camera that doesn't have light in the background. And I'm panning around trying to find a good angle. Oh, it's fucking bright. That doesn't work. Maybe there. I'm like, oh, it's fucking bright. Oh, it's fucking bright. You know what I mean? Like, I know you can see me, but oh, there's so many things that frustrate me. I think I'm going to do a video, believe it or not, on anger management, because I'm not managing my anger and frustration very well. I have things on one hand so good. I'm so blessed. Got a good income, good job, loving family, multiple shelters. I've got worthwhile work and projects, and I'm not deprived of anything. But the way little things grate on my nerves, it's beyond what it should be. And I've been working on it for 20 years and I haven't solved it yet, and I don't know if I'm ever going to. So that's frustrating. Things like bad lighting, wind, batteries dying, things out of focus, cords getting snagged on everything, you know, like on and on. Physics. The physics of gravity, making things fall and fall over or rotate and turn, like with the pipes I was just working on. Oh my God, it just seems like anything that can go wrong will. And I know that's a horrible attitude, and I don't want to have that attitude. I don't want to be like angry all the time, but I'm working constantly. And that means dealing with problems, both in my day job problems and then coming in here and solving problems. And problems are challenging. Like, I've tried every book, every meditation, I've tried everything I can think of, and I can't get rid of this level of anger and frustration. So if you guys have tips, I am all freaking ear, because I don't want to be a bitter, angry, frustrated old man who's got everything he ever wanted or is working towards and making progress on everything he's ever wanted, but yet angry and frustrated. A lot of deep breaths, man, a lot of deep breaths. All right, my point is, let me show you what I did not film yesterday, which is taking copper green and painting all these boards green, all these boards down here green, and then the ends of my 4x4s, painting the ends of those that'll be in contact with the ground, getting those green. You wouldn't think that would actually take too long, but it took a long, let me turn and find a good angle here. But yeah, it took a long dang time, almost all day, and I, for some reason, was almost exhausted with it. I've used up almost a whole gallon of the copper green. Hey guys. So what I'm doing is taking all this green wood that I painted yesterday with copper green, and I'm making like the footers, the base rails for my solar rack. And all I'm really doing is lining up the boards, putting in some blocks down here for the right spacing, clamping them up with my clamps, making sure that my uprights, those are coming out, you know, this isn't permanent, are flush with the ends, so that, I'll show you on this next one, so that the blocking that I put in right here is exactly, you know, 4 inches from the end, so that when I take these outside, I can just kind of jam my 4x4 uprights in there and, you know, press them up against this block, and I know they'll be somewhat close to plumb and vertical and all that. So 2 rails per solar rack. So there's one, starting on the second one. They'll have side rails, and then I'm going to start on the rails that hold the actual, that create the channel that holds in the solar panels themselves. So yeah, it's a lot of up and down on my knees, a lot of drilling, clamping. You know, it's not difficult, but you know, I got to make sure I'm doing it right. And then once I'm done making these base rails, I'm going to flip them upside down on my sawhorses and put a little more copper green on the bottom, because these blocks, some of them are pressure treated, but still they're fresh cuts, and they need to be treated on the bottom. So that'll be easy up on the sawhorses. I'll do that last. And then I'm going to call it a day, of course. I'm going to have to build and assemble these outside on another day, because I'm just, you know, it's kind of hard work. Hey guys, okay, I've made some progress. These are the 4 rails that will contact the ground that make up the majority of the bulk and weight and mass of my solar racks. These are, whoa, it's super bright, sorry about that. Those are just 2x4s. They're going to make up the rails that actually hold, you know, the solar panels themselves. Okay, so as much as I would like to continue building and start, you know, screwing things together and bringing these racks to life, I need to properly treat them, because they're going to be out in the elements for years to come. So that's why these are green, because they're in contact with the ground. I use copper green. And that's why the ends of my upright posts here, they're all mixed up, but, you know, 7 or 8 inches of the end of them are green. Got one layer of copper green on there. But then all the rest of the uprights, the rails that hold the solar racks and everything else is just, even though it's not going to be in contact with the ground, it is going to be getting the sun beating down on it. And you know, out here in Arizona, the environment's really bright. So I'm having to pause and take time, so I got my gloves on here, to put on Thompson's water seal and more copper green. And even though that can take 3, 4, 6 hours of just painting, turning, painting, it is sort of meditative. I don't mind doing it, but it's just a challenge. I like to build. I like to screw things together, erect something visible, you know, get some tangible, visual conclusions to my work. What's the word I'm looking for? Some reward for my effort, right? Some visual reward. But I can't get that today. This is not going to come together today. I've got to spend the rest of my time putting the copper green and Thompson's water seal on all these boards, and then sometime either during the week or next weekend, I'll start building the thing up. I've also put some paint on my pipes outside, so I'm going to show you some photos of that. I'm going to put that back together before I finish for the day. I've actually been working for about 6 hours straight, and my back is starting to get a little bit tired. Even though I don't feel like I've actually done any work, I've been working nonstop for about 6 hours. So anyway, I'm going to keep going. I just wanted to share that with you. Hey guys, okay, I'm about to wrap it up for the day. It's going to be hard to see with the lighting situation, but I got all my rails, the ground rails are done. I've started to water seal the vertical uprights. I've water sealed, oh, it's hard to see. I've water sealed with Thompson's water seal. These are the 2x4s that are going to make up the channels that actually hold the solar panels. And I just have more of that to do. So hopefully during this week, this work week, I can come out for about 2 nights, or sorry, come out for about 2 hours every night. And I got a little more chopping to do. I got some rails to put together and some more water sealing to do. But if I can, you know, work an hour or two every night all week, by next weekend, I'll be ready to take all this wood outside and assemble it and get all my solar panels up in the racks, wire it to the tiny house, well, to the inverter that feeds the tiny house eventually, and call this project done. So even though I didn't get anything totally concluded, I feel like I did make some good progress. I'm walking out here in the bright sunlight. Here's my 3 tan pipes laying here, half in the sun, half in the shade. There we go, pipes, pipes, pipes. So I'm just gonna take those 3 pipes, take them over to the far side of my tiny house, which you can see through this building. And then one of these days, one of the projects that I need to do, won't take that long, just clean up all this scrap wood, organize it a little better. I've used a lot of it, I keep using more of it, but it's a little bit chaotic and it doesn't look great from the road. And at some point soon, I'm actually going to frame in this thing just to protect everything from the elements, not to actually use it as a garage, because I have to add on to it. And yeah, that's a whole nother, a year-long project in and of itself. But at some point soon, I'm actually going to put temporary walls up with 2x4s and steel panels, just to keep the rain out of here. Anyway, but that's a project for another day. Let's go put the pipes together and wrap up this video. You know, one concept I want to leave you guys with, or thought, not a concept, thought, is about rearranging or feng shuiing your living space. Some people are really tuned in and are very sensitive, like energetically, to the layout, the function, the vibe, the aesthetic of their living space, whether it's a bedroom, a living room, your whole house, your RV, your tiny house, your tent, yurt, whatever you happen to live in, your mansion. Aesthetics and the feel of a space are very important. And I'm really shocked how many people aren't tuned into it, and they are willing to live in a space that's either ugly or cluttered or dirty or just a bad arrangement that doesn't suit them, or it's filled with other people's crap, or has things, holes in the wall or cobwebs or needs repair or whatever. And as humans, we learn to tolerate that kind of thing, especially when it builds over time. Dirt and dust and cobwebs, they build over time. So there's no point where you're like, oh my God, this is terrible. It's usually a gradual thing. And because it's so gradual, we get accustomed to it and tend not to notice it. The same thing happens with clutter. But I'd like to encourage you guys to take a look around at your rooms and look for things in your spaces. And look for small things you can do to make quick, easy improvements that'll help you feel better. Often rearranging a room is the single biggest thing. And when space allows, I like to rearrange my rooms often. In fact, just up in my loft recently, I changed the orientation and location of my bed. And, you know, I only moved it 2 feet, but it changes, you know, where the little walkway is up there. And it's a little 8x8 loft. There's not many options up there, right? And the bed takes up 80% of it. But by doing so, I was able to get a better view out my windows and open up the windows and take the blinds off now that I'm in a rural location and really take advantage of the 3x6 window. I've got one massive one, 1, 2, 3, and 4 smaller windows up in my tiny loft, plus the skylight. The idea being, when I built it, I wanted really good views. And now I'm finally in a place out here in the desert in Arizona on my 22 acres where I can really enjoy the views. And there's no neighbor in that direction yet. Although a new neighbor, potentially new neighbor, just reached out to me on Instagram and Facebook a couple days ago. They bought the 10 acres immediately to my west. So in a year, 2, 3, maybe I'll have another neighbor, you know, in the distance, which I don't mind. And if you're watching the video, hey, welcome to the neighborhood. I'm looking forward to meeting you. Anyway, so the windows are open. I rearranged, going back to the idea of what you can do in your space to make it more enjoyable. So look around, declutter, clean, rearrange. Might only take you 10 minutes, might take you 5 hours, but if you're spending a lot of time and energy in that space, I think it's probably worth it. So enjoy that. Let me know what changes you make to your space. Leave it in the comment, and let's see if it makes a difference in your overall happiness level. I bet it will.